Okay, well, next up is our News and Views G scale, and it's Steve Bittinger. We don't have a sponsor currently for G scale.
Right.
So, any people out there, there's an opportunity here. Um, New modeling, we probably, after a couple days and we break out the segments, we probably get well over 1,000 views if you or more after a week's showing. That's looking at the entire show and adding up all the segments and those views. Many people don't realize our New Tracks Observations newsletter actually has a circulation of 8,000.
Hmm.
Not a lot of people know that. And
Well,
so if
hate
you,
that.
if you if you advertise on the show, we do put a your logo on the newsletter, but you have an opportunity to advertise in the newsletter as well. Anyway, so I'd like to introduce Steve Binninger, News and Views G Scale, hopefully. Steve,
Okay.
you there? Yep.
Well, I'm here. Are you there?
Go. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. It's been a while. Probably forgot who I was, but I think it was last year. We were last year quite a while back. So I got three parts to tonight's program, and the very first part is going back to the idea we had to take a train car, a rail car, G-scale one, and leave it outside for nature to weather it. So it has been out there since mid-October of this year. And it's going through all sorts of weather and conditions. We actually enhanced it a little bit by putting some scrap metal pieces up on the roof of the car. So later this afternoon, I went out and it has snowed here in West Virginia and the rail car was buried, but I'm going to open up the box, which is containing a rail car. And that's pretty much how it came out of the ground or out of the snow 2 hours ago. So thus far, I don't know how well you see what's happened, but the top of it is starting to weather up pretty good with our scrap metal effects. I know on the sides through here, we're starting to see staining all the way around, pretty typical. And that's probably the way the progress is going to be on our project. So we're anticipating snow Saturday and Sunday of this week. So it's going to go back out and suffer through its third snowstorm, and we're going to keep it out there till springtime, and then we'll see what our car looks like, natural weathering versus man-made weathering. So there you go, update on that. Let me set this thing out of the way. Another catch-up project was we had started building a raised platform outdoor railroad at the bequest of some folks down in Kentucky. And we had a couple of stages to that. And I'm going to just do a refresher. Not everybody saw the earlier programs necessarily, might be their first opportunity. So this was our initial design for a raised bed. It's about 30 inches tall. The perimeter made from from railroad ties, used as landscape timbers, and they're laid up to the height of 32 inches. We backfilled a little bit to keep everything in place. And as of the last program, I was to the point where we then, hopefully everybody can see this, had our retaining walls laid up all the way around. I told people the simplest way to handle drainage is to go out and start gathering up rocks and bricks and anything else you could find. So here we have done that, put them in the bottom. We hope to have anywhere from 8 to 12 inches of this material on the bottom. That's what's going to be your drainage for the whole project. I went ahead and closed it in. There's two choices on this. A, do what I did, close it in the whole way around. B, leave a little corner low. If you're going to wheelbarrow future materials and so forth into there, that's a much easier way to do it if you don't have mechanized equipment. So at this point, it's all been laid up. We had a little scrap left over, made some steps for convenience up here on the side. And then the next step was taking black plastic trash bags as our liner. I've cut down to the miniature size right here. Those have been put against the interior, on top, draped down to the sides, stapled in place, all the way around on this perimeter. This is our moisture barrier. This is a 6 mil plastic. You're either gonna buy a roll of plastic or you're gonna get a box of contractor's trash bags, which I had recommended you do. That way you can use as many of the bags as you need in here, and the rest of the bags you can use around your home. Actually, as part of putting in your stone materials, you're going to need to provide some type of drain tile. This is probably the most common one. This is a 4-inch perforated drain tile. These come in perforated or solids. You can get connecting devices to make 90s and so forth, or you can just take the stuff, put some slits in here, additional slits, and you can bend it as you need. And that material is going to go up against the exterior perimeter. And we've allowed an opening in our railroad ties. We've allowed an opening of 8 inches tall by having a gap about this big, about an 8 by 8 opening. That is where this pipe is going to exit. So any water that collects inside that does not percolate down through the soils, say like now when we have frozen ground, will come out through this drain tile, exit away from your railroad. Next thing we're going to do is we have to fill this up to the top or slightly higher with topsoil clay, whatever you can get. I have recommended you contact swimming pool companies when they're digging for pools. They're glad to get rid of a lot of their material. So now we have to do a little bit of math. The area, I did the calculations for you, inside of here is 636 square feet. But we need to know cubic feet. That's how much material we need to fill this thing up. Pretty simple calculations on that. Since we're about 2 feet deep, it'll be double our square foot area, and that's going to be 1,276 cubic feet of material, at least that much, especially if we want to profile it, not just have this be a flat tabletop when we're done, but have some rise and some roll material we want to work with. So the question is, how do I know how many truckloads of fill I need to ask for? The typical tandem axle truck can hold about 400 cubic feet of material. Depends on how heavy it is and the type of truck. So you're going to probably be looking at about 3 truckloads to work with. When we got a truckload arriving, Mr. Sherrill was driving tonight, and he's got a tandem axle, a typical tandem axle dump truck you see pulling up here to our site. What you want the driver to do is you don't want the driver beep, 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 hold it, beep, thank you. You don't want him putting it down inside of here. You want him to raise it up. See if our driver can dump us some material here. We want most of that material on the outside, right here. And that is going to be an equipment ramp so that the first machine, a bobcat, tractor with a bucket or whatever, he's going to come up over top of this material, push it inside, and that's going to be his ramp. And that's going to be how he brings future materials. Once that's made, second truck comes along. Oh, my driver quit on me already. Second truck comes along. Beep, 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 beep. He uses the very same ramp. He dumps the second load inside. There you go. And our machine operator, he's going to come in and start spreading this back. When we get it all done, we're going to have a small pile on the outside. No big deal. He's going to take his bucket. He's going to pick that up, advance it in, or he can run around to the sides and add it wherever he like. So we're looking at typical, this model truck that we have here, typical tandem truck, 400 cubic yards, 3 truckloads, and you're going to be in pretty good shape for that material. What's going to happen next is, I don't care how good of a machine you have, and he runs over top of that, this is going to settle. This is going to settle down. So when you get done, you sort of want it to look like a loaf of bread on top. You want this thing to be humped up 2 directions here. a high center in both directions. You can always get in there and touch it up with the rakes and shovels as you need after that, because at some point, we're gonna have to have a pretty solid surface to start laying our track at. This will come up later in our program as to how we go about that. Some material that you can get a hold of, if you live in an area that's sandy type loam soils, this is going to compact much better than here where we live. We have mostly clays for our soils. So topsoil will compact the least, clays will be best. A mixture with sand will be the best you can get for a base. So depending on the region of the country you live in, after all, I wouldn't turn down any fill if it's free. Take it, put it in there. You can dress off the top of this for your vegetation and your planting area. You really only need about 4 or 5 inches of really good soil on that top to put your plants in. Next time we do a program on this, we are going to come back and we're going to start shaping this up, and we're going to have to start thinking about a track plan that we're going to put in here. It can be any design that anybody comes up with. You got a whole month probably till I get back here to think up something that we can have in the way of a track plan. Third part of tonight's show. I want to thank Mr. Sherrill for his excellent driving. I'm the world's best expert on soda straws. I've spent way too much time searching out soda straws. Everybody asks me, why do I search out soda straws? And the answer is they're one of the very best modeling items you can get, and they're all free, absolutely free. So where do you go to get soda straws and the sizes available? I have here on my tray all the type of soda straws that I have managed to go out and collect around here. From very tiny ones, this little black one down here at this side, courtesy of Panera Bread or Starbucks. That's from their coffees. This type here and here, these are kids' party straws. You've probably all seen these. This is the one you flex. You can stretch it, flex it some more. These are going to be great for making bins. Got a couple projects we can do with these. And guess what? This is the big one. And here's a little guy right here. So you have choices in that type of product. If you go to McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, guess what? Every one of them has a different diameter straw. You would think they'd all be the same. No, they're different sizes. This red one I have stuck down in here. This is Wendy's straw, right? Here's a straw from another fast food outfit. Look at that. Perfect for making fittings and going inside. So you just hang on to all the straws you come by at various locations. This is the biggest one I have found to date, right here. This is a nice big guy, right? We have in our region, and maybe in yours, Sheetz convenience stores. They offer milkshakes. This is their milkshake straw at Sheetz, not their regular coffee or soda straw. These are hanging around in there. Usually you can have 1 or 2 and nobody's going to say anything to you if you liberate a few of these straws. But this one has very stiff sidewalls. It's really strong, and it's great for a lot of projects. This one here, smaller diameter, small straw, right? This is a very rigid one also. This one I have found at independent, I'm going to say local stores that are not chains. They must get these from some supplier who's making these. Who knows? It could be all made in China for all I know. But anyway, start going out and looking for soda straws. Next item. This. Coat hangers. Here's one size. Here's a baby size coat hanger, literally. Go to the Dollar Tree, the dollar store in your area. You can get a whole pack of these, about 10 for $1.25. Same with these guys. Why do I want these? Answer is I cut this piece right here off of them. This piece right here. And those are the connections that I use. Let me get the right ones together here. Let's get back to our big one. But you can force these into here, shape them up whatever you want, sand them down. The diameter, certain ones is better than others. This one you'll see, perfect. I now have a 180. I have a 90-degree turn, whatever I need, go around the corner, go down the side of a building, gutters and downspouts, all sorts of things. Good for many gauges, especially O and G gauge. And the last thing I have in this group, I have right on this tray. These are valve boxes that I've made. These are, there they go. Just little valve boxes. You have to have them on all your lines. To make valve boxes, all we're going to need are some flat washers, a roofing nail, the shortest ones you can find, and a split ring compression ring. These are the type you see that if you squeeze them with a pair of pliers, they go shut. I squeeze those down until they're flat right around the straws, and we end up with a neat little valve box on those three. So next month or next show, when you tune in, you'll get to see all the various things that you can make, soda straws and coat hangers. That's it for me tonight. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them for you.
This is Tom Farrell. I just want to say that G scale now has me thinking in my backyard. I have done N scale, HO scale, S scale, obviously ON30, O scale, Lionel. Never touched G scale. I think it'll be interesting when your program moves along. I'm not really familiar with G scale and where it is today in regards to track. I remember in the old days it was brass track. I'm sure they're not doing that anymore, right?
No, almost all the track is brass.
Oh, really? Still. So, and then the turnouts and the different manufacturers, that would all be interesting, I think, for the viewers, just to know, because you have a whole different set of conditions. You're outside, is it special turnout, special care? And then I assume you're going to do dead rail, so you don't have to worry about putting power to the track. Is that a leap, or how's that go?
Okay, so I'll go back. Let me see. I have modeled in HO, S gauge, O, and G. As I got older, the gauge got bigger. There must be a reason. Yes. As we build this layout, I'm going to get to the point where once we get a track plan, I think you're exactly correct. We'll address track and switches and fasteners for putting it together and how you're going to power your trains. And there's really two choices, I guess three. The three choices are going to be track power, battery power, or live steam.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's people who do all three. Steve Sherrill says, put a string on it and pull it. But yes, I think as we get down the road on building the layout, that's would be exactly the right time to get with that. Yep, that's great.
Yeah.
Steve, I'd like to ask a question if I have a chance.
Yeah.
I would like to ask you, is anyone producing the aluminum rail right now? I used to produce it back in the 90s.
Yes, you can get it in, I think, what, 6 foot, 8 foot lengths?
Yes, I used to make it in 6 foot lengths. It was
Yeah.
it used to be called PHS rail. I used to do plastic ties too at the time. But I don't know. I sold it to a company in Michigan, and I don't think if anyone is still producing it or not.
Plastic tie strips?
Yeah, for the Code 250 and 332 rail. I did both in aluminum rail at one time.
I know you can buy plastic tie strips from LGV.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say as well from either Pico or USA Trains, one of the others. And then rail is available, I also believe, from Micro Engineering.
Yeah.
I don't think Micro Engineering may offer tie strips. I can't answer that.
Yeah, not too many people are doing the aluminum rail. I know I sold it to a company in Michigan, and then I think they went defunct after a while.
The August Bridge, though?
And there was a company, Train Lee. They were making plastic extruded rail. I have some samples of theirs. And obviously for dead rail, that's fine. However, for some reason, it didn't go over well and they discontinued it.
I know I used the aluminum rail extensively because of the fact that it was a good conductor of electricity. as well as a good thing to use for your live stream or your battery powered. At the time, it was just coming into existence, battery powered.
Right, right. I would say now, more and more people are going battery.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks a lot, Steve. Sorry to bother you.
Hey,
No,
Steve, this is Bob Geldmacher on the big diameter straw. When the weather gets warmer, Starbucks start to sell some of these cold drinks that have fruit pieces in them. And in order to allow you to suck those fruit pieces up, they put out a fairly good sized diameter straw. And I try to pick them up whenever I go to a Starbucks because they make great pipe loads.
Yes, and when we get into making some projects with this, and I'll tell you all the things you need to do to your straws if you're going to use them outdoors. Okay, you can't just take these outdoors as is.
No, sure.
All right.
Well, thank you, Steve, and a lot of direction to take this over the next year, actually.
Okay. All right. It was good to see everybody again.
Yeah.